Fraser, I don't think it's that bad.
Welcome back, everyone, to the weekly Armchair Kickoff podcast. We're on the United show today, Devil's Advocate, and today it's a pre-match show for Manchester United versus Burnley. And so today I'm joined by two guests here. The show will also be joined by one more. So to the right of me, I'm joined by Kevin Kennedy, and also right below me, we were joined by Mr. Greg Chambers. And fashionably late, as always, we'll be joined also by Reese Russell, where we will be talking about all things Manchester United. We'll be talking all things this game as well. Obviously, breaking down the starting lineups when they are announced at 3:00, and we will be talking about this other Manchester United kind of related topics with the guys. So I suppose, look, first of all, the first thing I actually want to talk about, because I was watching Super Sunday today, obviously before the Arsenal match kicked off against Fulham, and Roy Keane again had a lot to say with regards to Paul Pogba and with regards to obviously his role at the club, his performances this season. And he's been saying that Paul Pogba has been a letdown at Manchester United. Now, for me, I disagree with his comments. I think Paul Pogba has been let down by Manchester United. I don't think it's been the other way around. I think, for me, Paul Pogba, yes, he's a quality footballer, but you can have one quality player, but if you have players who are not up to his level around him, he's not going to perform. Like, gone are the days where you have an Eric Cantona. Like, he's not a Cantona figure that drags his team through games. He's not a Roy Keane figure. He's not that type of player. He never has been. Even at Juventus, he's never that type of player that takes the game by the scruff of the neck. But for me, when you look at like the midfield Paul Pogba came into, he came to a midfield of Marouane Fellaini when he first came to the club, Nemanja Matic, Ander Herrera, Morgan Schneiderlin, and over the hill, Bastian Schweinsteiger. And now he's in the midfield with McTominay and Fred. Like, obviously Bruno Fernandes is in there as well, who's the only other quality midfielder we probably have. Obviously Donny van de Beek doesn't play enough to be included in that conversation. But like, at the end of the day, for these comments were made by Roy Keane, they're usually, for me, Roy Keane is always bang on. But today I didn't agree with him, to be brutally honest, because again, you can have one quality player, but if you have a average back four behind them, and you have average defensive midfielders behind them, and then like obviously you have Rashford and Bruno who are quality up front, and Cavani and Greenwood, but if you don't have the spine behind you, you're not going to get the overall results. So for me, I think for him to say that he's been a letdown at Manchester United, when you look at this transitional period, apart from David De Gea, he's probably been our best player in that transitional period since he's come to the football club, and we're a better team when he's in the team. We create chances when he's in the team. When he isn't in the team, we're flat in midfield. So look, for me, I disagree with Roy Keane's comments today. I was going to come to a couple of comments that have come in here straight away. Rachel's in the house as always. She's saying afternoon, gents. Also, Rory is also in the house saying afternoon. I hope you're both well. I wasn't drinking last night, but I was saying to lads just off camera, I feel over today for some reason. I was up watching UFC and fucking YouTuber knocked Ben Askren as well. So hasn't been the best of early Sunday mornings for me. But Greg, I'm going to come to you first. What are your overall thoughts on Roy Keane's comments today on Super Sunday?
Yeah, well, as usual with Roy, I'm unlike you. I don't think Roy Keane's hits the nail on the head often, like at all, really. I think he's far too living in the past in terms of how players like to be treated and how he would treat and how obviously he was treated as a player, and sort of bringing that into modern day. And it doesn't work. He always says that managers are there to upset people, and you've got to be willing to upset people, but footballers aren't like that nowadays. Now, especially a player like Paul Pogba, you need someone to put their arm around him and tell him he's the best player in the world and the best player on that football pitch, and that's when you get the best out of him. And in terms of Pogba, I think he's been a victim of this squad sort of coming of age around him. He's had to wait on Marcus Rashford to really have that breakthrough season last season. Obviously, Martial doing the same thing. We've got Harry Maguire now as a defender, who I think's been outstanding this season. Lindelof's had a majority of this campaign. Luke Shaw's now the defender that we spent all that money for. So the squad's come of age around Pogba, and I just think he's been quite unlucky in terms of the time that he joined Man United, and then of course the failings in recruitment as well. But I just think Roy Keane's massively inaccurate with that. I think Pogba's been successful at Man United. I think for the first time in a while he's enjoying his football. He looks like he's enjoying his football at Man United, and we've got a good chance to win a trophy this year. Then it obviously bodes well for him staying. But I don't agree with Keane's comments. I rarely ever do. I just think he likes to upset people and say something that's going to basically get people to click on a clip or something like that. He likes being controversial for the sake of being controversial. But if you're completely honest, Paul Pogba's been brilliant for Manchester United, and if he was to leave in the summer, then no one could blame him because he wants to win things. And if he was to stay in the summer, then again, no one could blame him because Man United look like they're going in the right direction, especially based on the last 12 months.
Yeah, and I'm just going to come to Mushroom Kev's comment here. He says Pogba's been widely inconsistent over his entire time at United. Has had some moments, but overall for a world record signing, it has been a letdown. Look, you can look at a transfer fee and you can discuss that. That's another story. But like, you can get a quality player in. But here's the thing, and it goes back to that point. When Pogba was at Juventus, he had players like Marquisio, he had Pirlo, he had Arturo Vidal in midfield, who done the job behind him to give him the creative freedom. Anytime Pogba has actually played well in a United shirt, had them players behind him. And again, inconsistently, he had the right players around him. This is the thing. If he was a letdown and if he was a poor player, he wouldn't be getting into France's team when you look at the abundance and quality that they have, right? You look at the quality that Man United have had since 2016. We're only getting that quality at the team now. We're only starting to see the best Paul Pogba now. I agree with Kevin that, yes, the inconsistencies in his performances have been there. But again, it's been there because the spine behind him haven't been able to get the ball to him. He's been played out of position. Like Jose Mourinho was playing Marouane Fellaini ahead of him for the most of his tenure. Like, I think you have to look at that and say there's been mismanagement by the manager he had before Ollie. You have to look at the recruitment he's had in terms of though having quality players around him. Like if you actually look at Pogba's first season at United, he was okay. We got the Europa League final and we won a League Cup. You look at the chances Ibrahimovic missed that season. If you actually go back and watch them games, Ibrahimovic missed more than a handful. There was a lot of chances he missed where Pogba could have broke that assist record in the Premier League. Yeah, at least 5-6 assists that season, which when you look at the games and points tallies, United would have made the top 4 that season. If, Ibrahimovic, I know he done well, but he was wasteful that season. If you actually go back and look at the games, there's a lot of games where you miss chances, especially like you look at the draws against Bournemouth, you look at all them other games that year. Like Ibrahimovic was wasteful. You look at the season when Ollie came in, obviously as an interim manager and then got the permanent contract. Pogba was our best player that season. He had like the most goals and most assists for a midfielder. I think it was in Europe that year for a central midfield player. But then again, he's been called inconsistent. He's got this inconsistent label because Jose Mourinho fell out with him and thrown him out of the team in big games. Like, I also want to bring a point back to what Roy Keane said today too. Roy Keane said he should have performed against Leicester this season in the FA Cup. Paul Pogba was coming back from a 2-month injury and again been brought into a team after having 45 minutes of football after being off for 2 months. Name a player that comes back right up to speed after having 2 months out with a muscle injury like that. Now, people will throw a Lionel Messi, they'll throw a Ronaldo there, but they're different animals to Paul Pogba. Mm-hmm. They're different animals to Paul Pogba. So I think, yes, there's been times where he's performed poorly, but you have to look at the bigger picture and say, yes, Paul Pogba has had bad moments. He's also had fantastic moments in United shirt. But again, he's been let down by recruitment. And Mika Richards, who was a non-Manchester United affiliate player, he's affiliated Man City, he wouldn't have a good word to say about United, really, when you think about it. And he was saying this, that he's been let down by recruitment. He's been let down by everything else. Like, again, you can have a quality striker up front, but if you don't give him the ball, he's not going to score goals. Do you know what I mean? So it's just one of them things. Kevin, what are your overall thoughts with Roy Keane's comments about Paul Pogba?
I mean, you'd have to ask Jose Mourinho why he brought him in for, wouldn't you? Like one week he kind of played him in that nice forward number 10 position, and then the next week he's the hatchet man in midfield. You know, I think a lot of Man United fans thought he was brought in to be maybe a more box-to-box guy, a guy who uses his athleticism to get around. But it's just so hard, you know. I wonder what Mourinho would say if you were to ask him what you brought Pogba in for. I mean, one week he's captain, then there's obviously a falling out. I mean, name a player who hasn't. And so yeah, under Solskjaer now there has been a bit of inconsistency. He has looked brilliant at times, and at times you can blame maybe recruitment hasn't been great. You can blame, like Greg said, a lot of players did have to mature. But yeah, I can see where he says the inconsistency. Yeah, I can see that, but he does exaggerate things sometimes, Roy Keane. So, but you can see it's not a controversial comment really. He's not the only man who would say that. I think, so. Yeah, that's probably my opinion on it. It's not it's not a comment that you could just throw away. That's ridiculous. You can see where he's coming from.
Yeah, like I can see why he has that kind of perception. But again, like it comes down to the point of, yes, he's had bad performances, but it's not just been Paul Pogba. Like if you actually look at the overall team, the team has been, like, when you look at some performances, Pogba has been a part of a collective, transition. And again, Roy Keane can say, why are you throwing around the word transition? Well, we are in a transition. We're not equipped to win the league title yet. There's still a few key positions to be addressed in this team before we can challenge Manchester City.
I'll just add to that, actually. Under Solskjaer, I mean, we play Fred and McTominay as two defensive midfielders. So if you're the other team, I mean, you can, because those two are back, you can afford to throw 2 or 3 players on Pogba, and forget about that other midfielder. He's not coming. We won't see him. So we'll just throw our guys on Pogba. Now, since Bruno Fernandes has come, teams are more reluctant to do that. But during that space before Bruno Fernandes, it was quite easy for teams to just say, right, Fred, McTominay, forget about them. Let's put our 2 guys surround Pogba.
Yeah, exactly. And you hit the nail on the head there. And again, Pogba before Bruno came in was our only creative outlet. Like, people can talk about Juan Mata, people can talk about Rashford. They're not the most creative players in the world. They're, like Mata's, like, in the last 2 or 3 years, has kind of fallen off, right? Before that, he was a very good player. Like, I think you have to say, like, you hit the nail on the head. Like, Pogba now has the appropriate players around him. Like, Rashford's come of age now. He wasn't coming of age a couple of years ago. Obviously, Mason Greenwood's coming to the team will give us something different. He now has a striker in Cavani who can make the appropriate movements up front to create that little inch of space for him to make the killer pass, as we've seen for the supposed offside goal last week against Tottenham. Like, I think you have to look at it and say, like, it's been a collective. But again, when Pogba, even when before Bruno came in, Pogba sometimes was even playing it as a 6 when he's not a 6. Like, that's not his position. He's not a sitting midfield player. He's either a number 8 or even borderline a 10. Like, he isn't a sitting midfield player. And for much of his time during his time at Manchester United, he's been played in that role when that's not his position. Now, people can talk about his inside left role that he's playing at the moment. He played that at Juventus early on in his career. But it wasn't even kind of a left midfield role. It was kind of left side of a diamond. And like, that was a role for him that obviously he had creative freedom because he had a Marquisio, so he had a Pirlo, he had a Vidal, players around him who can, obviously, they can go box to, like, Vidal would often get forward, Marquisio would pick out key passes. We all know what Pirlo could do with a football, like taking the ball from a centre half and dictating the pace of a game. With players like Paul Pogba, they're players who need the shackles taken off and they need creative freedom. But when they're playing as a number 6, that's not going to take the shackles off. That's not going to give them creative freedom, because they're 30 yards, go further where they should be on the pitch. So again, like, I can see, yes, there's some performances. Yes, he should have played better because he has the individual quality to play better. But at the same time, when you're stifling a player's talent because where you position him on the pitch, that's a problem. Like, that'd be like putting, let's say, if you have Kevin De Bruyne, right, and you're playing him in a midfield 3, right, and all of a sudden you play penalty to Fulham. Let me know, boys, if they
nice.
score, because I don't have the game on beside me.
It's being checked by VAR. It might not be. It doesn't look like one.
Yeah. But like that's like putting Kevin De Bruyne. Like you put Kevin De Bruyne in a midfield 3, but then you play him as a 6. Is he going to be as influential as a 6 that he is going to be as an 8 or a 10? No. Same applies to Paul Pogba. So I think you have to look at it and say he's a victim of his own quality, because he's shown at stages that he is a world-class footballer. But again, I would mainly put this down to like personnel that he has. That he's had beside him, because again, you can have a world-class player there, but if you have the mediocre players beside him, you're not going to see the quality. Reece, the starting lineups are going to come in 13 minutes. What are your overall thoughts on Paul Pogba and these comments by Roy Keane made today on Super Sunday?
Well, I sort of understand what Kevin meant when he spoke about inconsistencies, and I'm not Paul Pogba's biggest fan, but it's no hard to notice he's got some talent behind him. He's actually a very good player. My only thing is and I've said this about a few world-class players before, and I'm going to use it for Pogba. A world-class player shouldn't have to rely on quality around them to dictate a game. They should still be able to do more themselves. But I think it's harsh to say.
I'll stop you right there on that.
I'm not done on it though.
In a quality league. But in a quality league where you're playing, this is the best league in the world.
It is, yes.
You surely have to have quality around you.
Yeah, but there are some circumstances where you can have like utter shite around you, be the best player in the team, and actually do more. I'm not saying Paul Pogba's crap, like, so no one misquote me on that. I'm just saying that there's something more that he can do. But one thing I will say is he's not the worst. He's not the worst player I've seen. Like there's far worse than that. There's inconsistencies, but no player doesn't go in a season without inconsistent performances. It's just how he responds. Yeah, that's actually really good. I'm glad Fulham are winning because I want them to stay up.
Go for Fulham.
Like there's times where even world-class players are going to have inconsistent performances. That's normal. That's football. It's just a matter of how they respond week to week, game to game. I think Pogba's all right. I mean, there's been games where he's played as part of the double pivot, and he's been given a little bit of creative freedom, and he's been absolutely fantastic. There's times where he's been restricted. He's still been very good. It's just a matter of how we approach Pogba week to week. It's how you use him. But he definitely needs to be given more license to roam. I prefer when he's moving about. At the moment, he's been given that out on the left-hand side with no Rashford.
And we're seeing the best of him.
If he keeps out there for a bit, if he stays out there to the end of the season, I'm happy with it.
Yeah, I think that you hit the nail on the head. Like there's been games when he has played the two and he has done well, but in the big games, in the games that you need like to give him freedom, he needs to be playing in a midfield 3. Like I think this is where like we brought this point back a couple of weeks ago when we said you get a sitting midfielder, you get a specialist midfield player in there, like a Rice, a Carrier, Ndidi, whoever you want to talk about, right? And then you have a Bruno and Pogba both beside him in advanced number 8 roles, where they can both play box to box, where they can both get on the ball and have the freedom to go forward. They know there's someone behind them to do all the defensive midfield work. And I think that's where, like when Ollie first came in, we played 4-3-3. We played Matic, Herrera, Pogba. Pogba played like in a kind of 8/10 role, and he's done the business. I think when you're seeing now when he went to the left of the diamond last week in the second half, played fantastically well. Again, got on the ball. He had freedom behind him. Fred McTominay done the work behind him. Even though, look, again, people mightn't like that. Like I think we need better than Fred McTominay there. As I said, a defensive midfield player is what's needed to get the best out of both Bruno and Pogba. Because I think Bruno has done fantastically well. I think Pogba's done well this season. But if you get a top-class defensive midfielder behind him, you'll see, I'm saying this now, you can mark my words, you'll see a better Paul Pogba and you'll see a better Bruno Fernandes, because they'd both be playing in their appropriate positions. And again, you'll have the quality up front in the Greenwood that's coming of age. Cavani, if he stays, could provide that extra bit up there. And of course, Marcus Rashford is improving season on season. Like 2 straight seasons, 20 goals. And he's been injured for the majority of them 2 seasons, like carrying like back injuries, knee injuries, ankle injuries. And he's still producing. again, like that speaks volumes in terms of his overall progression under Solskjaer, but people will tell you there's no progression in terms of players improving. I'm not going to go there today because, again, some of these people are just absolute wet wipes. But
I think, frankly, it just depends on how. I think it just depends on a fan's perception, because we all as fans have a different perception of how our team plays. Like, frankly, I don't mind us being boring for 1 week as long as we actually see a little bit of creative intelligence and it actually leads to a result. But ideally, I would like to see this team being on the front foot every single week, being more expansive, dominating games, pressurizing opponents, and you'll actually see what the creative players are actually good at. It's a matter of how we perceive ourselves as fans. Like, do you want us to be a boring team like Stoke and how we see how Pogba plays from that? Or do you want us to play like a Man City where you're that passing football, that high press possession game? Do you want us to be more like that? I think it's just a matter of perception. I think Pogba thrives in any style. It's just how you use him. And that's why I've always been hoping that the coaching behind the manager, that's what I want more from, is I want the coaching to actually reflect our perception. That's what I want. That's what I've been crying for years, is its perception matches our view. You get that done, frankly, who knows where Pogba will end up in terms of the team. Like, he could end up breaking 20, 25 assists in a season. He easily could. It's just how we see it based on what the manager wants. And I'm hoping that that reflects, like you said, if we get a defensive midfielder who is of the best quality, get that, Pogba, frankly, shouldn't have anything to worry about.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just going to come to Mushroom Kev's comment here. He says, what is Pogba's best position? After 4 seasons, he hasn't really been nailed down as a 10, an 8, or an inside forward, etc. He's a number 8. Like, he's a number 8. He's midfielder, left of a 3. Like, again, this is where it comes to. This is where I've just said, if you get defensive midfielder, Bruno's actually best position isn't number 10 either. His best ball days for Sporting were playing as an 8 in a 3. So,
do you think,
playing the right
do you
hand
not
side?
Think Bruno should be further forward?
I think
Bruno
I think
strikes me as someone that
Bruno's
plays like
an
a
8.
second striker, like genuinely.
Yeah, but like when you look at Bruno Fernandes's career, he played as an 8, as a box-to-box midfield player. Now he's doing well in the
spell. He's never had a spell as successful as this first year or so at Man United. So would that not say that he's playing his best football now in his best position? Is because there's no other point in his career where he's scored this many, got this many assists. Like, he's one of the world's most informed midfield players. Like,
if you play 4-3-3, Greg, he's going to play in that. He's going to get into the box because, again, you'd have the ball.
Yeah, I get
played
that.
for Sporting before he joined.
I wouldn't want him to drop too deep and then be like, you're not getting the best out of Bruno as well, just to accommodate. Like, it's quite awkward with the way Pogba and Bruno work, with the fact that they don't play like in tandem, if you get what I mean. Like, I feel like Bruno's a really good 10, like a genuine brilliant 10. I just would hate to go to a 4-3-3 and then that cuts off Bruno being able to sort of be as effective as he is, because Greg, he does so well hanging around Cavani.
I'll ask you a simple question here.
How
do we resolve our midfield issue then? Because if you're saying you're going to keep him the 10 and continue to play 4-2-3-1, how do you resolve this issue? You're still going to be playing 2 sitting midfield players.
You balance it out.
But then again, how do you balance it out if Pogba's like in playing again as a 6?
You wouldn't need Pogba and Bruno to necessarily stick beside each other. You could have one of them like float forward and one of them just because Pogba wouldn't bomb forward like Bruno does. So it doesn't necessarily, like, obviously it would set up as like a 4-3-3, but formations in football in general are a myth. They're really just something for people that talk about football and pundits to sort of hang their hat on, because when they've actually got the ball, they don't follow that so solidly. Like, it wouldn't be so even if it was a 4-3-3, you would be expecting, I suppose you would just be hoping that Bruno still bombs forward and sort of plays off the shoulder of the striker, which I think he's done brilliantly this year. Especially leading that press as well. When you've got Cavani, who's maybe can't run as much as Bruno, when you've got Bruno leading that press, it takes a lot of pressure off Cavani as well. And then you would just be relying on Pogba to still be as effective as he was. But obviously you can't rely on him doing defensive work. So I think if you have a balance, if you have that 3, then it's fine. But you can't. I don't think we should play in terms of like a 4-3-3. I would hate to switch to that, and then for Bruno's numbers to completely just vanish in terms of his goals and assists and the way he dominates a game, because he dominates a game by getting on those little half spaces in behind or just playing off of Cavani. That's where he's best. That's where he scores his goals. That's where he gets his assists from as well. I still think defensive midfield players more key.
But what Bruno Fernandes kind of does is kind of similar to what Lampard does. Get into the box, scores goals. But like Lampard again played in a 3. He got into the box. Like I think Bruno could still do that. He's still be effective. Like Lampard didn't play as a 10, and he scored 20 goals a season more or less. And Bruno's putting up them numbers nearly 2 seasons in a row. So I think again, like I don't think it'd limit him to that effect. I still think he would be effective because he knows how to play that position. He plays there for Portugal too. Do you know? So like I think it wouldn't be like an alien adjustment to him if we did go to the formation that Ollie did go to when he first came in. And it's clear to see if you do get a defensive midfielder, it's a no-brainer that he will go to that formation.
That's what Ollie wants to play. Like he just can't do it with this current team. Like that's what he wants to play. Exactly. He wants to play that 4-3-3.
I think you have to say if we get a defensive midfielder in the summer, I think it is possible that things will be sorted out for us anyway because Pogba will go is a big possibility. So, but
then if Pogba goes,
actually be sorted out for us in 2 months.
But here's the problem, Kevin. Pogba goes, you need about 2 or 3 players to replace him.
Oh yeah, but I'm just saying that things might be sorted out for us. With that, that problem might unfortunately go straight just like that.
If you look at how we play anyway, like we start traditionally as the 4-2-3-1, and you've got but when we go into attacking transitions, one of the midfielders drops into defence.
Lacazette just got injured for Arsenal. He pulled his hamstring, lads.
Yeah. It looks like
damn. Shame.
That could be a shame for them now in the Europa League. Like that's big, like because he's been probably their best player as well, like recently.
That's horrific, man. That's horrific. Any team injuries, shame. What was I saying? So we traditionally start in a 4-2-3-1, but when we actually transition to attack, we end up playing a 3-4-3 anyway. One of the midfielders drops into defence, and we just bomb forward 3-4-3, and we just control it from there. It's just Pogba and Bruno, they've been playing out wide a lot lately, creatively, and it seems to be benefiting Pogba, but I think Bruno, when he's going out wide, it's slightly restricting him a little bit. I think he's just adjusting to a new role. It's just how we control the game more. I wouldn't be fine either way, like if we change system or we change how we attack teams, but I don't think we're going to see one restriction in Bruno to benefit Pogba. I think they'll be fine. It's just in terms of adapting.
Yeah. Absolutely. Now the lineups are due to come in, guys, within the next minute or so. So look, I think we're on agreement today. We do want to see obviously a strong team today. We have a week off next week, so we have a full week between this game and the next game. So I don't think there's any excuses for heavy rotation today. I think we need to put our strongest team, especially against Burnley side, that we haven't beaten in the last 3 at Old Trafford. So I think for us,
we haven't done a double since 76.
This result today, I don't think is helping us either, this Arsenal match.
No.
So United win might give them a spur on,
Yeah.
So, guys, United's lineup is in. So, Henderson in goal, Wan-Bissaka at right back, Lindelof, Maguire, Shaw. Midfield 2, McTominay and Fred. Greenwood on the right. Pogba looks like to be off the left. Rashford on the right. Rashford on the right. Pogba on the left. Bruno on the 10. And Greenwood up front. So it's more or less the team we played against Tom last week, except Cavani isn't starting. Which, look, I think when you look at it, it's like, again, Frank McTominay playing. Again, I probably would have went McTominay, Pogba in the middle because of Burnley's height in midfield. And I think, again, you'd have a situation where you get all your forward players on to score goals. But look, Pogba is going to be in an advanced role. Rashford's going to be playing out of position. But I think the big positive from the lineup is that Mason Greenwood is getting a chance up front. Today, again, we've been calling for it. He's getting his chance. I think Cavani, look, we all know he probably will get game time today. The only disappointing me is seeing Fred start today. I think, I think he probably could have been given a rest because he's played Sunday, he's played Thursday, and then he's back playing today, 3 games in a week. Do you think it's
maybe a diamond?
Yeah, like we could go to a diamond.
Will be.
Like you,
That's
like
what I think.
Fred
That's what I
McTominay,
think it might be.
Bruno,
Yeah.
and then you go like Rashford, Greenwood up front. You could go with that.
Yep.
But I reckon it'll be the status quo. I think it'll be 4-2-3-1. I think it's one of them things where you can set up as diamond, you can do 4-2-3-1, but I think knowing the way we've been playing this season, it's going to be a 4-2-3-1. So I'm going to go to you, Kevin, first. Your reaction to the lineup today?
Well, I do hope if it's the 4-2-3-1, I can't remember a game Rashford has played on the right where he has been anything other than totally ineffective. Out of position. I don't like Rashford out of position. That's an area we probably have to address in the summer. Is that right wing?
Oh, there's a guy coming in the summer on that position.
Yeah,
that'll happen. But
I mean, we want Greenwood up front. Doesn't mean that he's going to be good up front today, but hopefully he will. Pogba on the. I think Luke Shaw is going to be asked to do a lot of work today with Pogba on that side. You're not going to get a guy charging down the wing, taking on his right back right there. So I think it's going to be a very long day for Luke Shaw. And
if anyone's in the comments, for the guys in the comments, can you give us Burnley's lineup if you can research it for me? Because I just want to see who's playing. Obviously, they're probably playing their box standard 4-4-2.
I have it here if you want.
Yeah, go on, throw up Burnley's lineup to me there.
Okay, so Peacock in goal. Okay.
No Nick Pope.
Lowton, Tarkowski, me, and Taylor.
Yep.
4 at the back. Then so I'll go left to right. McNeil, Brownhill, Westwood, Cork, and Johan over on the right, and then Wood up front.
No, Barnes, that's actually quite good for us.
Yeah. I think, I think you look at their lineup. I think Charlie McNeil's his delivery from set pieces could be crucial for them, because we've had problems this season in terms of defending corners, and I think Solon Markin's been a problem for us. And Dwight McNeil's a very good player. He's very good left foot, and actually, funny enough, came through Manchester United as well. Again, Carrington
coming back from injury.
Producing. Yeah, sorry.
He's coming back from injury. Like, he's not played the last couple of games. He was doubtful for today, so he might be in just to give them a bit of an outlet, give them an outball with a bit of pace. Whether they... I don't know. Burnley obviously won't have a lot of the ball today, but it's how effective they'll be off it, and then how well Man United can stifle it. Obviously, with Maguire back, you'll be a lot more confident in the defence than I was on Thursday, because that defence on Thursday...
I think Maguire's going to be crucial.
Our defence is so much weaker. Yeah, well, our defence is so much weaker when Maguire doesn't play. Like, Maguire's out and out our best centre back and one of our best defenders, and a massive reason why we've improved. So hopefully, with him and Lindelof playing, we'll be able to stifle them a bit better.
Their typical centre back partnership as well. Control
a second defensive midfielder there. There's not a lot of legs in that Burnley team.
No, there's not. That's what makes me think the diamond.
You're not going to be hit on a counter there.
I just think for McNeil,
to
have an outball.
I think that's the thing as well. I think this is where United need to. I think for United today, I think it's very important that we score early today, because I think with Burnley, they're going to sit back. They're going to sit in the 18-yard line, and they're going to obviously hope to hit on the counter. But even at that, they lack pace. But I think set pieces are probably their best bet in scoring a goal today. I think when you look at obviously like Wood, Tarkowski, Ben Mee, all coming off from corners, they're all going to be dangerous. Like we've seen how they score goals. Even though last season when they beat us, Jay Rodriguez scored an absolute fucking beauty of a fucking thing against us last season. Like, that was just a beauty. But again, that game was obviously a turning point in our season. We signed Bruno Fernandes, and look, the rest is history, after that. But I think when you look at their team, very physical in midfield. I think when you look at that, obviously, like the Brownhill in there, obviously Westwood, they're players who will work. They'll work. They're not, I suppose, the most industrious players. They won't be the most creative, but what they will do is that they will give a work rate. They will obviously beyond McTominay and Fred like a hot snot. You know, they'll obviously try to get at him, get in their face. But like, I think you have to look at it and say we still have enough quality in the front four that we should be opening them up. I think when Fred and McTominay get the ball, they're going to have to give the ball into Bruno and Pogba, get it going snappy, make sure the passes are on point. I think the only thing I worry about, obviously, is Fred in midfield today. Like, will he get out muscled, out strengthened in a midfield that's still very physical? I think that's a concern, like today, because we've seen Fred in these sort of games where he's going to be, he gets out strengthened, he gets bullied, and like there's other games he plays well. Like look at Sunday, second half against Spurs last week, he played well. McTominay played well in the second half last week as well. And we've commented Shane. Shane says, and Chris Wood gonna be sweating gravy with the runaround Maguire is gonna give him. We'll see how accurate that is.
That'll be some
come full time. But what I'm gonna do, guys, is we're obviously gonna give score predictions. You know, I think when I looked at the game Friday, I kind of looked in with a kind of, I suppose, without seeing the lineup and seeing the lineup, I said, nice to look, United will win 3-1 and we'll probably go behind by conceding the set piece. But then that's when we switch on and we go gung ho and hopefully win the game. But I'm going to come to you, Kevin, first. Like, what do you think is going to happen this game? Who's going to win?
Big win, 3-0. I think
3-0 Manchester United and a clean sheet.
Yeah,
I love the confidence, Kevin. I love the confidence.
I'm usually more negative. But I'm gonna roll the dice here.
Yeah, it's good to see. I'm loving the positive vibes, loving the energy. So absolutely 3-0, and that's definitely what we want to see. Reese, how are you feeling? What's the score going to be?
I'm looking forward to the first battle in the first 30 minutes. Then after that, we'll beat them 3-0.
Yeah, so we've 2 3-0s, 3-0 from Greg, 3-0 from Kevin. Greg, 3-0 from Reese, and 3-0 from Kevin. Greg, how do you feel like it's going down?
I think it'll be 2-0. Not quite 3-0. I think it'll be 2-0. I think we'll dominate the game. Hopefully we get a goal early and then sort of like just seal it just after half time or something like that. But yeah, hopefully Burnley can't cause us too many problems. Hopefully we'll be able to cut them out nice and early if they were to break. And then yeah, I think 2-0.
Yeah, so we've got two 3-0s, a 2-0. I'll give my score prediction in one. That's going to come to a couple of comments. Mushroom Kev says, Greenwood up against me and Tarkovsky might be a bit lightweight, if not much room behind. Hope he scores 3, but I worry if he's a bit isolated. Yeah, I agree. That's a concern. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. We need to be snappy in the ball. We need to be showing ambition. Get on the ball. Let's pin these bastards back and let's show our quality, because we have a lot of quality up front and we need to obviously get the ball to them, lads, and let's score a couple of goals. Let's get revenge from last season, because that was painful, that 2-0. Shout out to Amy, who isn't here. She was at that game and she always tells me that game gives her nightmares. That 2-0 defeat.
I remember watching on TV. I remember watching on TV. I'm glad I wasn't there live. I'd probably have shot myself in the head, to be honest. It was that bad.
I was down in college in Waterford last year in Ireland, and I was watching that game, and it was a student night as well when that game was on. And I remember being delighted. It's only Burnley at Old Trafford. Like, we should pick up 3 points. And we're all in my room watching the game, having a few beers. They went 1-0 up, and I was like, we come back. And then fucking Rodriguez scores an absolute.
We didn't even have anything in that game at all. Like, there was nothing in that game that suggested United were going to score. Like, there was nothing. It was like saying toothless would be generous. Like, it was so underwhelming. But hopefully this year, fast forward, like, this is April, and that game was in January. So fast forward 14 months, 15 months, it's a much better performance and we get the result we need.
Yeah, absolutely. Mushroom Kev says 1-0 scrappy, could be a terrible game to watch. There's a bit of pessimism, Mr. Kevin. I thought you'd have a bigger scoreline than that today. Geez, the comments are very confident today. Rory says 4-0 United. Rach is saying 4-0 as well. Matthew says 3-0 United, and he also follows on to say that it's going to be Greenwood to score as well. Rach is making reference also to being at the Burnley game last season in Old Trafford. Rach, as I sat in my seat at full time, just feeling like throwing myself off the Stretford end. Yeah, I think we all kind of felt like that last season, because that game looked like we weren't going to finish in the top 4, and like obviously, like we didn't. Bruno Fernandes wasn't at the club. 10 and Paul Pogba was out. Marcus Rashford also out, missing. It was a dark time as United fans. We thought we could have finished 7th or 8th last season at that point, but then we got the second coming of Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, and he came in and he just turned it all around for us, And what from Kev says in the comments as well, he says, Amy McNandez, all she is missing, I'll say it, a sexy Bruno penalty. So yeah, Kev thinks it's going to be 1-0 and we're going to get a 1-0 Bruno Fernandes penalty. Oh,
we got a penalty
timeline. Dirty game.
I've just got a notification from United District. You might want to hear this. I'll read the tweet out. So it says, the 12 clubs who have agreed to join the European Super League are United, Liverpool, Man City, Arsenal, Chelsea, Tottenham, Barcelona, both Madrid clubs, and the 2 Milan clubs, and Juventus have all agreed to join the European Super League. And that's just came through like a minute ago.
Has there been a year? Is there any kind of official kind of date when this is going to happen? Is this just like an agreement, but will they get sanctions from their football and associations to allow them to do this? Like what does this constitute?
Nothing that I can see yet, but I think if they are going to do it, they're going to have to sanction it, because there's no way they're going to be able to play their own leagues and the European Super League at the same time, because it's going to be dictated all across the globe. It's going to be interesting. Am I a fan of it? No. I'm actually against the European Super League. I'm against it. It's just a matter of what happens now. But so far, those are the 12 clubs that have agreed to join. I'm kind of not surprised by 2 of them. One of them being Man United, the other being Liverpool. Obviously, they are the 2 front runners of the European Super League. So I'm not surprised to see them wanting to join it.
Yeah, absolutely. It could be a dark time because the Glazers, they will love that money. But if you're in a European Super League like that, let's just say, hypothetically speaking, if that actually goes through, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're going to have to spend the money because they're going to be with quality teams. If they don't spend the money, they're going to get battered every week by all these teams. So, like, look, at the end of the day, if you're going into a league like that,
only the best teams
against all the best teams, and you're playing against them week in, week out, and not the Burnleys and Brightons of the world, you're going to have to spend money because you're going to embarrass yourself in that league.
Yeah.
But then again, there may be more money in this European Super League. We don't know what the financial aspect of it is. Maybe they might spend money because the Glazers like the way the Super Bowl and all that's done and this, that, and the other. We'll see. We'll see what comes of it. But Shane says in the comments, apparently no German or French teams. So Reese, you still have your beloved Bundesliga. That's still intact.
Fuck's sake. I actually have an update on that one. This might interest you. This is about the format. It says the proposed framework for the new European Super League involves a total of 20 teams. 15 teams are permanent who cannot be relegated. A further 5 teams will be rotated in and out of the competition based on performance. And that was Mark Ogden.
Tottenham and Arsenal.
Pretty much,
probably so the 12 of the 15 will be 12 of the 15 that Reece read out. They'll probably all be set members, and then it'll be teams probably like Ajax and like high performers in other leagues that'll be brought in. But I think all the teams that Reece read out are the set members, so like Arsenal and Spurs.
Mm-hmm. Like the likes of the 2 Milan clubs, Juventus, they can't afford to lose them, so they'll be permanent. So we'll see. I would expect Man United and Liverpool be the first 2 permanent over Real Madrid and Barcelona. They'll be the first 2 permanent because it was Liverpool. Their owners, they're the front runners of the European Super League, and the Glazers actively went and supported them. That's the only reason why they'll be exactly. That's why they'll be the 2 in main support. But Liverpool will be the first club to be kept as a permanent member, just because it's FSG that are saying let's do it. Either way, it's fucking pathetic anyway.
It'll be good fun.
Yeah, it is. It's just one of them things. It's not something I want to hear right before a kickoff in the game, to be completely honest.
The fact that it's coming through now, I'm like, cheers for the fact that it's come through now. I'm like, cheers for tweeting, even though I didn't want to bloody know it right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Rach says apparently UEFA are speaking about it tomorrow as well. So I suppose as time on, we're going to find out more about the Super League. What does it constitute? What does it mean for the Premier League? Time will tell. But I'm going to give my score prediction as to what I think is going to happen today. On Friday, I did say that'd be 3-1, and we go goal down. I'll be slightly more optimistic. I'm going to actually go for us to keep it clean sheet. But I'm going to go 2-0. I'm going to go on the same lines as Greg. I think Paul Pogba will get a goal. There'll be justification for him to score again, especially after the comments had before the game. And obviously Mourinho coming out in the press conference or interview the other day and says he doesn't care less, when clearly you could see in his face rattled by that comment. But yeah, it hurt him. But again, like, look, when you're finished, you just have to acknowledge it, mate. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, look, I'll go 2-0. I'll go Paul Pogba with the score, and we haven't seen a Fernandes goal in a while, so in the Premier League. So I'm going to go Bruno Fernandes to score today, whether it's from the penalty spot or from open play, I don't know. But we'll go for a Bruno Fernandes goal there as well, and we'll get a 2-0 United win, and hopefully, look, there's kind of another step closer to obviously the cemented second place, so we can actually concentrate fully and wholeheartedly on winning the trophy this season in Europa League. Because I think that's, like, obviously second place does show progress in terms of points tally, in terms of league position, but to win a trophy, I think it's very important for the mentality of the squad to give them that hunger to win trophies. You know, it should be the priority in terms of obviously getting success out there. Yeah, look, we're going to wrap it up there for today. Obviously, kickoff is in 42 minutes, so I want to give the lads obviously time to do whatever you do in terms of getting grub or getting comfortable for the game. So I'm going to wrap it up there. In terms of shows coming up, next week, obviously, United show will be back. Devil's Advocate, we'll have a show next week. Also, Three Devils Laguna will be back tomorrow as well. I'll be in touch with the girls later on, and they will have a show tomorrow. And as always, Well Done the Lowdown will be back tomorrow as well. I'm sure the Chelsea fans on our channel will be especially as happy as they beat Manchester City in the FA Cup semi-final yesterday. You can see the smiles on all their faces. We never celebrate a Chelsea win. We're not going to wholeheartedly go out there and say we love Chelsea Football Club. But what I will say is they saved English football yesterday by defeating Manchester City and stopping a potential quadruple. Now, if they go on and win the Champions League and the league this season and the League Cup, it's going to be a fake treble. But 1999, never, ever going to be emulated. I'm just going to say that right there now. But Rory just asked us before I click to end the broadcast. He says, what kind of kickoff? It is at 4 p.m. I thought it was 4:30 myself, but it's actually at 4 o'clock. So it's at 4 o'clock. So that's the time to kick off on today. And obviously, look, the FA Cup semi-final of Leicester and Southampton's on later on if you want to watch that as well. But yeah, look, do catch us next week on all of our shows, as I said earlier on. And as always, like, share, and subscribe. Goes a long way in terms of helping us grow and help us deliver more content. So do that. And as always, I always give the guys an opportunity just at the end of the show before we wrap up to give their social medias a shout out as to where you can catch them on social media. Kevin, you're not as active on Twitter as you were previously. Your Twitter page is Kevin_Kedge, I believe.
Yeah, that's it.
Yes, you can catch
not the most active person, but maybe in the future, don't know. Yeah,
absolutely. Go over and give him a follow, and let's see. He might partake with me in terms of winding up a few scousers. You never know. Below me, you can see it in his handle there, Mr. United Venom 7. Reese, where else can our viewers catch you? I understand you do other things just then come on shows.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitch as well, Reese_Lightning1997. It's more active on there, like gaming streams. Currently doing an F1 stream at the moment. Not right now, I will be later on. I'm actually watching the race right now. There's a red flag, so if you're interested in Formula 1, get over there and watch it as Hamilton's in 9th.
Yeah, that's some people on Twitter won't be happy about that comment. They're probably watching now. Greg, tell us where our viewers can find yourself.
Yeah, just on Twitter at Greg_D_Chambers. So
yeah, absolutely. If you want to see some Donny van de Beek love, do get over there and do catch him on Twitter there.
He does like coming in for the deep from the bench.
Yeah, and as always, you can see me there. There's the handle right there. Keane_Franey for all Manchester United related tweets, for all kind of the odd occasional MMA boxing tweet, and also if you want to see me wind up a rival fan from any other club, you know yourself, that's where you go to follow me, because Twitter does be lit. But look, thanks very much everyone for watching. I hope you all enjoy the game, and most importantly, let's hope Manchester United go out there and get the 3 points. Thanks very much everyone.